Hello and welcome to Liberty and Gun Rights Podcast. My name is James Moffett and I'll be your host. Today is Monday, April the 29th, 2024. I hope you're doing well and I appreciate the privilege of your time and taking time out of your day to watch this podcast. So, having said that, I want to bring up the actual podcast itself, Liberty and Gun Rights Podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and several other platforms. But it says Liberty and Gun Rights Podcast. This podcast will explore Second Amendment rights as outlined in the U.S. Constitution. I'll be exploring gun rights in South Carolina and existing gun laws. I will shed light on illegal gun ban signs in South Carolina. I'll be talking about pre-filed bills in Columbia, South Carolina, as well as updating everyone on the status of those bills. I want to encourage legal gun owners in South Carolina to be engaged with their representatives in Columbia. I will be an activist for all things to do with the liberty of the citizens of our great state. And I also want to say that I'm not going to limit myself to things that are only happening in South Carolina. I think that we all know that no matter where you're listening from, that all of us are interested in liberty and gun rights. We're all interested in the pursuit of happiness, liberty and the pursuit of happiness, right? Our Constitution says that we have certain inalienable rights, and we all know that our federal government and our state governments have been bending over backwards over the last few decades to infringe on those rights. Okay? So, when that happens, as U.S. citizens, as free citizens, we have the responsibility of calling our state and federal representatives that we vote into office to remind them that we the people expect them to serve us and to serve our interests and to uphold the oath of office and to uphold their allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America. And I think most of us realize that, well, that really isn't happening. We have, right now we have a very liberal Congress. We have Sleepy Joe at the wheel, Joe Biden. And maybe I shouldn't call him Sleepy Joe. I would imagine most of you, especially if you're a conservative or Republican or maybe even libertarian, maybe you appreciate that nickname, right? So Sleepy Joe is, well, probably very appropriate. If you've ever watched him speak on TV, he does struggle at times with speech and with reading off the teleprompter and putting together sentences. You know, and while I'm saying that sort of thing, I want you to know that he's not the only one. There have been several other presidents in the last decade or so that, you know, when they get up to speak, you're like, just read the speech and quit trying to ad lib, and oh my goodness, quit sounding like you had a stroke. I mean, sometimes that's the way they come across, right? Like they had a stroke or something. Anyway, I'll turn this off for a second so you can see me. Me and my water bottle. Did you know that you're supposed to drink 8-ounce glasses of water a day? That's the minimum requirement. And I drink water like a fish. I drink it all day long because it's good for you. It's what's good for you. And so is liberty and gun rights in the good old US of A, right? So one of the things I want to talk about, and this episode is somewhat unscripted. I'm not following a script, so I may run down several rabbit holes as we go on in this episode, and hopefully you can hang in there and follow me. We're talking about liberty and gun rights. So since 2015, South Carolina, and specifically legal gun owners and South Carolina Carry, which I'm a member of, and Palmetto Gun Rights, and several other NRA affiliates at the state level have been pursuing constitutional carry or open carry, any form of open carry, right? Where you can open carry a firearm. If you're a legal gun owner, then we legal gun owners wanted the right to open carry. There's like 47 other states all around South Carolina that have some form of open carry, whether it be open carry with permit, constitutional carry, whatever, right? So last year or the year before, we got open carry with permit passed. Now, mind you, we've been working at this since 2015, and we got open carry with permit passed, which basically means that if you had a South Carolina concealed weapons permit that was in good standing, wasn't expired, a current CWP, then that means that, or that meant at that time, that you could conceal carry or you could open carry. And the law passed, the governor signed it, and then it took 3 months before it went into effect because we wanted our law enforcement officials to get the appropriate training to let them know that it's legal now for citizens, legal gun owners, to carry a firearm, and law enforcement officers can't single you out and stop you and ask for identification solely because you're carrying a firearm, right? So fast forward to 2024, we finally got our version of constitutional carry passed. HB 3594 was passed and signed into law this year, and that means that legal gun owners can either conceal carry or open carry without a permit, right? And that's a great thing. It's a good thing. It took us forever to make that happen. It took a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth in Columbia by Palmetto Gun Rights, South Carolina Carry, legal gun owners that took the time out to go to Columbia and sit in the hearings and request to speak. And I kid you not, it was a uphill battle. It was a fight. And I would say that probably the only reason constitutional carry passed this time is because we're in an election cycle, and our conservative Republican rhinos, what is a conservative Republican, or who's a rhino? It's a conservative Republican that's in the House of Representatives or the Senate in South Carolina that state that they are in the Republican Party, but their actions or the way they vote or don't vote for certain bills shows that they're actually Democrats, right? So we have a lot of rhinos or imposters in the Republican Party in the Senate and House of Representatives in Columbia. I'm sure that doesn't come as a shock to any of you. And guess what? We have the same problem in Washington, D.C. Anyway, so now we have constitutional carry. It hasn't been out for very long, but Um, Years and years ago, I started this group called Palmetto Concealed Carry. I think we have like 8,000 members all over the state of South Carolina. Doesn't cost you anything to join. All you got to do is go to our Facebook group and join it. There's a Palmetto Concealed Carry Low Country group for the Low Country area of South Carolina, down here in the Charleston, South Carolina, Orangeburg, Dorchester County, Charleston County, Berkeley County, all the surrounding counties in the Low Country. So you can join either or both groups. Doesn't cost you a dime. So you can join. You can keep up with current gun trends, gun laws, meetups. We haven't had a meetup in a long time. But anyway, coming back to constitutional carry, I posted a message the other day and said, I just asked everybody, I said, how many people have you seen actually open carry now that constitutional carry has passed? And I was surprised to hear that of the people that responded to that message, I would say less than 10 sightings have been made. I don't think, even if you add them up, I don't think there were 10 people were even seen. And I know that constitutional carry is going to be a little more, how do you say this? It's going to be probably seen more in the rural areas and less in the urban areas, like in the cities and major areas like Charleston, South Carolina, Mount Pleasant, all the barrier islands like Kiowa, Seabrook, Johns Island, the tourist traps, places that has a high concentration of tourism. You're probably not going to see open carry very much. That's primarily because these tourist areas they can't ban it because it's a state law. It's a South Carolina state law now, so they can't ban open carry, but they can discourage people from doing it. They can request people to not do it simply by putting up legal sled signs that ban, concealed carry or open carry. And the gun signage in South Carolina has not been changed. So all the sled regulated or legal gun signs that say that that businesses, private business owners, can put up these gun ban signs that basically says you cannot conceal carry concealable weapons on our premises. And that's what typically happens once these open carry with permit and constitutional carry laws get passed. Business owners they do gun ban signs and say, "Yep, this is our business, and you are not allowed to carry on our premises anywhere." And that's part of the South Carolina gun law that basically says that if you're a business owner, you have a right to keep people, restrict people from carrying firearms on your property. One of the things that the open carry with permit, and I think a couple of years back, South Carolina passed the restaurant carry that basically said, yes, if you are a legal gun owner and you have a CWP, you can conceal carry your weapon into our business, even if we sell alcohol. You can't belly up to the bar and drink, and pack a pistol, right? Alcohol and firearms don't mix. I think we can all agree with that. But the restaurant law basically said that if you're a legal gun owner, you can come into our restaurant, concealed carry, and you and your family can go sit down in the dining area and order food and have a meal and have your defensive firearm with you, right? And so that was a good law in that, what's the most dangerous place when you go out and visit these, restaurants? It's the parking lot. getting from your car into the business and then from the business out to your car. That is going to be the most dangerous place for your family, right? So with the restaurant law being passed, you could now carry your weapon into the restaurant and feel safe, which is a good thing. So I find it interesting that I personally have not seen a lot of people open carrying. I've seen, since the law passed, I've maybe seen 2 or 3 people. We went out to Mac Daddy's out in Cross, South Carolina, and had lunch one day, one weekend. I think it was a Saturday, and there were a group of bikers that were out on the back patio, and I saw one fellow carrying a 1911. He was the only one that I saw. I think at that time I was concealed carrying personally, and I prefer to conceal carry because it's a tactical decision on my part. I want to have my self-defense firearm, my everyday carry. I want it to be concealed. I want it to be. It's really nobody's business that I'm carrying in my mind, and I want the element of surprise if it ever comes down to it, right? But that's that's a tactical decision, and all of us that are legal gun owners that get our CWP or don't get our CWP and decide to carry a defensive firearm, we have to choose what works for us, right? And that's where liberty comes in. Liberty says, hey, it's legal, carry concealed, carry open, it's your decision. But I must say, and South Carolina Carry is going to adopt this phrase. We haven't put it on our website yet, but it's going to show up soon. It's called carry responsibly. Carry your defensive firearm responsibly. So that means if you decide to open carry, don't have that thing flopping around on your hip in a nylon holster without a strap, or even with a strap. Get you a good heavy holster that is a level 2 or level 3 holster that secures that weapon so that somebody can't just walk up behind you and grab it and yank it out of your holster with no resistance whatsoever, right? Carry responsibly means to have the proper gear on your body to carry that firearm. It means make sure you have situational awareness. If you're carrying a weapon out in public and you're open carrying, be on condition yellow. And what does that mean? That means that your situational awareness is on, and you're paying attention to your surroundings. You're paying attention to where people are. You're paying attention to how close people are to you. You know where the exits are. You know when you're sitting at a dinner table or whatever. You go out for breakfast with your loved ones or wife, girlfriend, whatever. You're watching the door. You're watching the cash register. You're paying attention to what's going on around you, right? And that's just the way you have to be. If you carry a concealed weapon, or you open carry a weapon for defensive reasons, then you need to be aware of what's going on, and you need to be aware of what people are doing around you, right? And gotta pull your head out of your smartphone and out of your iPad, and look around, what's going on. So, yes, that's a public service announcement. If you're a legal gun owner and you're going to carry in public, carry responsibly. It's kind of like the slogan that says, drink responsibly. In other words, don't drink and drive. If you're going to go out on the town and get plastered, take an Uber, take a Lyft, have a friend drive you. And if you're going out with a group of friends, have a designated driver that's going to drink sweet tea or soda pop or water, and they're not going to imbibe. They're not going to drink alcoholic beverages, and they're Sole responsibility is to get you guys home safe, right? Same difference, or the same principle, I should say. So carry responsibly. So, I guess my $1,000,000 question is, as I get another bottle of water here, excuse me. So the question I have is, if we have constitutional carry, why isn't anybody carrying? Why are so few people carrying open carry? I don't get it. It's been a huge fight, right? Since 2015, we've spent a lot of time, money, and energy to get our legislators to pass an open carry bill, constitutional carry bill. I would think that with all the fuss, there would be more people open carrying. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't get it. Anyhow, enough about that. I just thought that was an interesting factoid. If you are living in an area in South Carolina where you see open carry all the time, please get a hold of me and let me know about it. It's James C. Moffitt at Outlook.com. James C. Moffitt at Outlook.com. Or james.moffitt at sccarry.org. Either one of those email addresses. You can also, on my podcast, you can leave a comment. On all my podcasts, I have questions, or I have a question that says, "How did you like this podcast?" Respond to that and tell me what you think. Leave me your comments. I'd love to hear from y'all. I don't do this podcast just to hear myself rattle. I'm hoping to bring quality and quantity content to my viewers. And if you're a viewer of mine and you like this podcast, I'd like to know that. Would encourage me to keep going, right? So, on Reddit. I don't know if you know what Reddit is. It's a long-standing social media platform like Facebook. On one of the gun forums, when I posted about constitutional carry passing, he said something along the lines of, or this person responded and said, "Oh wait, as far as I know, nobody's coming to take my guns. What's the big deal?" So that's kind of a segue into my next topic on this podcast episode. It's called apathy, right? To a large degree, a lot of legal gun owners are just downright apathetic. And as I've already told you, I've been in this fight since 2015. I've written many, many messages, and I've written many articles, blog posts on South Carolina carry, etc., fighting for Second Amendment rights. I guess you could say I'm a Second Amendment activist. I very actively promote our right to liberty and gun rights here in South Carolina, right? So, when this guy said, "Wait, last time I heard nobody's coming to take our guns," what does that tell me? That tells me that basically they don't care. And it's like when President Trump was in office, I heard lots of people say, Trump's in office, we've got a Republican in office, nobody's going to restrict our ability to buy guns or ammo, and we can just do what we want. We don't have to worry about it. We don't have to worry about anybody pre-filing red flag laws or any infringing laws or laws that would infringe on our Second Amendment rights. And sadly enough, that is not true. The Democrats, the left, Sleepy Joe, whatever you want to call it, or them. There's lots of labels, and I don't like getting into name calling. Right? I don't know. That's not a level I want to get into. I know we have a lot of fun. I know on Facebook a lot of my Second Amendment friends have their slogans and their names that they like to call the opposition, right? And that's all fine and good, and it's funny. It's great for social media, but for the purposes of this podcast, I don't want to get into the habit of doing that too much. But apathy. It's people, it seems, were okay with being a member of the South Carolina Carry public Facebook page, Palmetto Concealed Carry. There's lots of gun rights forums and pages on Facebook, right? Lots and lots of them, and there's a lot of people during our fight for restaurant carry, for open carry with permit, constitutional carry. Lots and lots of people spent a lot of time being keyboard commandos, right? They have all the time in the world to get on Facebook and bellyache and bitch and whine and moan and carry on about this, that, and another, right? Whether it be 1911s are better than 40 caliber. 40 caliber is better than 9 millimeter, or 1911s are better than double stack semi-automatics, or it's just a free for all. People like to argue and debate all manner of things on Facebook and on social media. But when it came to getting people to make phone calls or send emails or send letters to their representatives in the House of Representatives or Senate in South Carolina, it was like pulling teeth. If you're a member of South Carolina Carry, you're on our email alert list, and anytime that there's a new gun law, or if there's a pre-filed bill that infringes on your Second Amendment rights, we let you know. We send out, we put up a blog post. Sheriff Scott, who's on our board of directors, she's very active in Second Amendment rights and gun laws, and she keeps tabs on everything that's going on in the Senate and House of Representatives in Columbia, South Carolina. She'll put a blog post up. I put a blog post up. Every time we put up a blog post, the next morning at 6 a.m., if you're a member of South Carolina Carry, you get an email alert from our system that tells you about it. So, why are legal gun owners in South Carolina so apathetic? Are we just assuming that nothing's going to happen? Nobody's going to come take our guns. Hell, we lost all our guns in a boating accident 10 years ago. That's funny to say, right? But the bottom line is that our government, our federal and state governments, they're dreaming up ways to restrict gun ownership, our ability to have defensive firearms. They're trying to figure out how to tax weapons. They're trying to tax our ability to buy guns. Not trying to. They are taxing our firearm purchases, and they're trying to make it difficult for us to buy ammunition and reloading supplies. I'm not real big into reloading, but I have several friends that are, and they told me several years ago, back when there was a shortage in supplies for reloading, the supply and demand was all out of whack, and the prices were going through the roof, right? I remember when you used to buy 50 rounds of regular ammo, practice ammo, for a 9mm or 40 caliber weapon, 38, whatever. It was like $20 or less. And the cost of ammo went almost double that. It was ridiculous. And the supply and demand is, not out of whack like it used to be, but I think ammo is still more expensive than it used to be. So anyway, just something to think about. If you're not a member of South Carolina Carry or Palmetto Gun Rights or any of these NRA, ILA affiliates, I would encourage you to join one or both or all of them and subscribe to their email alerts, because those organizations, their sole purpose of being who they are is to protect our Second Amendment rights and our gun rights, right? So join any of them or all of them, and stay tuned to what's going on in Washington, D.C. and your state. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're in Virginia or wherever you might be, stay tuned to those Second Amendment activist groups, because they will be a good source of information for you to know those things. So that also is a public service announcement. Get involved. If you're a legal gun owner and you do or do not carry a weapon for defensive purposes out in public, you just have guns at your house, whatever, you still need to be aware of what's going on in your state legislature so that they don't try to slip a crazy bill under the carpet and get it passed while we're all sleeping, right? We need to be aware of what's going on, and that's what these groups are. They're watchdogs, and they pay attention to pre-filed bills and what's being voted for and what's not being voted for. That's one of the purposes of South Carolina Carry. That's one of the things that we've been doing since 2015, is letting everybody know what's going on and who their legislators are, and how to go to their state website and find out who your state legislator is. It's very easy to do. It's not rocket science. So get involved. Don't be apathetic. Don't be sleepy. Don't just assume that your gun rights are going to be around forever, because that's not necessarily so. So now I want to talk about something else that's on my radar, and that you may have already heard me talk about, and that's Project 2025. Now, I'm not an expert on Project 2025. However, I'm going to bring it up on my screen so you can see it. There we go. Project 2025. There we go. About. I want to read this to you. About Project 2025. Building now for a conservative victory through policy, personnel, and training. The actions of liberal politicians in Washington have created a desperate need and unique opportunity for conservatives to start undoing the damage the left has wrought and build a better country for all Americans in 2025. It is not enough for conservatives to win elections. If we're going to rescue the country from the grip of the radical left, we need both a governing agenda and the right people in place ready to carry this agenda out on day one of the next conservative administration. This is the goal of the 2025 Presidential Transition Project. The project will build on 4 pillars that will collectively pave the way for an effective conservative administration: a policy agenda, personnel, training, and a 180-day playbook. The project is the effort of a broad coalition of conservative organizations that have come together to ensure a successful administration begins on January 2025. With the right conservative policy recommendations and properly vetted and trained personnel to implement them, we will take back our government. The 2025 Presidential Transition Project is being organized by the Heritage Foundation and builds off Heritage's long-standing mandate for leadership, which has been highly influential for presidential administrations since the Reagan era. I didn't even know that. Most recently, the Trump administration relied heavily on Heritage's mandate for policy guidance, embracing nearly two-thirds of Heritage's proposals within just 1 year in office. Paul Dans, former chief of staff at the Office of Personnel Management during the Trump administration, serves as the director of the 2025 Presidential Transition Project. Spencer Crichton, I don't know how to say that, former special assistant to the president of Associate Director of Presidential Personnel, serves as Associate Director of the project. Project 2025 team. So here's the director, Paul Dans. Spencer is the Associate Director, and Troop Hemingway is the Associate Director. The Heritage Foundation. So down here you can put your name, email address, phone number, send a message and submit it, and they'll get back with you, right? If you're vaguely interested. So I've been following a friend of mine who is dissecting Project 2025, Andra Watkins. Survivor of Christian nationalism, author of How Project 2025 Will Ruin Your Life, New York Times best-selling author of the memoir Not Without My Father, One Woman's 444-mile walk of the Natchez Trace. Andra Watkins is a local author here in Charleston, South Carolina, and we met her during one of the Low Country Bloggers meetups, I think back in 2007 or 2008, in that era. It's hard to believe it's been so long. But anyway, I know Andra and her husband personally. And while we may not be extremely close friends, I know who she is, and we've been to their home for Thanksgiving and Christmas on a couple of occasions, and we've met with them at meetups. So I would say we're more than just casual acquaintances. My wife and I have supported Andra's writing journey since 2007. We've purchased several of her books, and she's a wonderful person. Do we see eye to eye on everything? No, of course not. Is she a Democrat or a liberal? I'm going to say that probably yes. She probably is at this point, a Democrat or a Democrat supporter or a liberal. As you get to know her and read some of her material, you'll see that she was a supporter of the Republican Party for many years, and she voted Republican, and she was on several, what do you call them? I don't even know what to call it. She helped to organize several politicians who were running for office, whatever it is that they call that. She worked on the board, or she was part of the organization, or the whatever it is that helps support those politicians and get them elected. So she's more than put her money where her mouth is. She's been very financially and physically, emotionally, and mentally involved in supporting these Republican candidates for office over the years. So anyway, if you go to Andra Watkins' let's see, let me click on this. How Project 2025 will ruin your life. So the URL is Project 2025 is theocracy.substack.com. That's Project 2025 is theocracy.substack.com. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that larger. Right? So I'm going to bring up Notepad. I'm going to bring it up. So I'm going to copy it here. And so you can see it here, hopefully. https:// project 2025 is theocracy.substack.com. Now, why am I telling you about this? Why do I have Project 2025 on my radar? Well, simply because I'm about liberty and gun rights. Liberty is the key thing here. Again, I have to talk about apathy. I've heard a lot of my Second Amendment friends, my conservative friends, make statements like, oh, I have a lot of Second Amendment friends that are Trump supporters, right? And I respect that. I respect their choice. I respect their desire to support President Trump. And I think the mentality is basically, as long as President Trump is elected in 2025, then he'll make America great again, right? I think that's the mantra. Make America great again. Save America from the liberals and the Democrats. If he wins the presidential election in 2025, then we're winners, just automatically, right? And so the mindset is that, what's the big deal about Project 2025? What's the big deal about conservatives having a plan? Well, maybe it's like those 1,000-page bills that the Senate passes, right? And in all of these 1,000-page bills that get passed in Congress in Washington, D.C., there's always garbage. There's always funds that are looped in on these bills to support things that we're either unaware of, or if we're aware of it, we don't agree. We don't agree with this flagrant spending of our tax dollars on crap, right? Where are our tax dollars going? Good Lord, that's a podcast episode by itself, right? So anyway, what have we heard senators say in the past? Oh, I don't have time to read $1,000 or 1,000-page bill. That's ridiculous. Or if it's 600 pages or 500 pages, we don't have time to sit there and read all of that. Yet, these senators that don't have time to read these bills have no problem being manipulated into passing those bills. And when those bills are passed, guess what happens? All the bad garbage in those bills affect us U.S. citizens, right? And it one of the things that happens is those 1,000-page bills, ultimately the ulterior motive or the main portion of that bill that is getting passed, we may approve of it, but we don't approve of all the fluff and garbage that's tucked into these bills, right? Let me back up. So let me say that constitutional carry has passed in South Carolina, right? So how do you know what the gun bill says or the gun laws? How do you know what the gun laws are in South Carolina? Do you know because of reading what Facebook posts are out there that you go in and you ask a question about what does it mean? What does that allow me to do? What does this constitutional carry bill allow me to do? And you ask that question on Facebook, Palmetto Concealed Carry, South Carolina Carry, Palmetto Gun Rights. I don't care what group it is, an NRA affiliate forum, gun forum. So you post that message, and then you're going to get 15 or 20 responses, and they're almost all going to be a little bit different, right? So it's our responsibility as gun owners, legal gun owners in South Carolina, or any other state for that matter, to go to the gun law webpage, the SLED webpage, and read the South Carolina gun law for ourselves. That's how you learn what's in the law, is to read it. And for God's sake, if you don't understand what you're reading, talk to an attorney. Talk to somebody that's a Second Amendment, pro Second Amendment attorney that knows gun laws, and ask the specific question. And most of them, I can almost guarantee you, most of them will give you a little bit of their time and respond. So that kind of directly relates back to Project 2025. I've been mentioning it on my Substack, and I've been mentioning on my podcast, and some of my blog posts, and even on Facebook I've brought it up. And pretty much the only response that I'm getting back from my conservative friends is, what's the big deal? Why do you think that Project 2025 is a bad thing? Oh, everybody has a plan. I bet the Democrats have a plan. Believe it or not, they don't have anything anywhere near like Project 2025. They're not anywhere near as organized, right? I'm not saying that everything in Project 2025 is bad. I'm not saying that everything in Project 2025 does not support being a conservative, right? Because it's written by and for conservatives, right? And if you're a conservative, well, that's got to be a win-win, right? That's the question that I'm asking you. Is don't take my word for it. Don't take the Heritage Foundation's word for it. Go to this website and read up on it, right? What is that website? There's even a book you can buy about Project 2025. There's a book. Let's see, policy. There's a book you can purchase called Mandate for Leadership, The Conservative Promise. All right? I don't even know how much this book is, but you can actually click here where it says read the mandate. That's awfully wide, isn't it? And it brings up an Adobe file, Adobe PDF, that you can download by clicking this little download button right here. Mandate for Leadership, The Conservative Promise, Project 2025 Presidential Transition Project, right, by the Heritage Foundation. And Section 1, Taking the Reins of Government, White House Office, Executive Office of the President of the United States, Central Personnel Agencies, Managing the Bureaucracy, Common Defense, General Welfare, the Economy, Independent Regulatory Agencies. I'm sorry if you hear the dogs barking. It's because my wife just came home and they're going nuts. Close my door. Sorry about that. Anyway, So yeah, if you want to know what Project 2025 is all about and all the stuff that's in it, you can go right here to um, project2025.org policy. That's project2025.org policy, and you can read the mandate, and it'll bring up a PDF file that you can download. So, I'm going to go back to here. How Project 2025 will ruin your life. What is a Christian nationalist? So, Andrew Watkins, she's dissecting Project 2025 piece by piece. And I would encourage you to read her different blog posts about 2025, Project 2025, and how it will ruin your life. Again, don't take my word for it. I'm just like you. I'm a red-blooded U.S. citizen. I believe in liberty and gun rights. I believe that I believe that our federal government is screwed up, right? And I believe that our country, to a large degree, is in trouble. And I have a very difficult time believing that, as a nation, the best that we could come up with is Sleepy Joe and President Trump. Is that really the best we can come up with? Our nation is a constitutional republic, right? And it has been said that the Democrats want to turn us into a democratic socialist republic, where the government is responsible for everything. Big Brother pays all your bills. Big Brother provides health care. Big Brother provides this. Big Brother provides that. Well, we know that socialism doesn't work. We know that democratic socialist republics don't work. History is replete with examples of socialist regimes and governments that have destroyed entire nations and destroyed people. So, we don't want democratic socialist republic. We don't want the liberals to convert our constitutional republic into democratic socialist republic, right? I think what we want is our leaders to read the Constitution, to revisit the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the preamble. And we, the people, would like our government officials to read the Constitution and follow it. You know, if you're passing bills, if you're passing laws, how does it line up with the Constitution? What does the Constitution say about it? And as far as I can see, the Constitution of the United States is being totally ignored. You know, some people are calling, especially when it comes to like the Second Amendment and the First Amendment, they want to rewrite the Constitution to make it relevant for the age that we're living in. Well, I think we all agree on this. The Constitution was written by our founding fathers, and it was written in such a way that it would be relevant for no matter what age we're living in, right? So, yeah, this is a public service announcement from one red-blooded American who believes in liberty and gun rights. I want you to don't be apathetic Just don't assume that just because President Trump's going to come into power again in 2025 that all is going to be well. If you follow Andrew Watkins and just subscribe to her emails, you will read about some disturbing things, right? And I don't know. I don't think we can afford to have the mindset of, well, I've been voting Republican all my life. Why would I stop now? When I go to the polls, I just vote a straight Republican ticket. Guess what? I've done that. And guess what? I was an idiot for doing that. Our responsibility as American citizens who have the right to vote, there's people on this planet that would kill for that right. Some of us don't even go vote. Some of us just sit around and go, I can't vote for the person I want, so I'm just going to let whatever happens happen. And that's a poor attitude. And so when we vote for somebody, we should find out what that person stands for. Are they really a Republican? Do they really stand for the Constitution of the United States of America? Do they believe in the Second Amendment rights? Do they believe in the First Amendment rights? So I think we are, as individual citizens, we are responsible for finding out what these politicians really believe. And that's what these presidential debates are all about on TV, right? I mean, sure, they're ridiculous. Sometimes it just turns into a shouting match, and the people that are the main people that are there usually wind up taking over the discussions as much as we don't want them to. But anyway, those presidential debates will kind of give you a cross-section, a feeling for where people stand on all these different social issues. Where do they stand on abortion? Where do they stand on gun rights? Immigration, health care, crime, blah, blah, blah. All the major social issues that are in the forefront of our minds, right? So listening to the presidential debates is one way of getting a good summary, I guess you could say. You can also go online. Google's your friend, Get online and investigate for yourself. Do some research for yourself as to what's going on and what people stand for. And that's all I'm saying is check out Project 2025 for yourself. Listen to what Andrew Watkins has to say. And she has direct links. She's not just spouting liberal garbage, right? She's not being hateful. She's just aware of things that most of us are not aware of. And she is dissecting Project 2025 bit by bit, piece by piece. And if you follow her stories or blog posts, she has direct links to what she's saying back to Project 2025. And sure, she's human, and her interpretation of what Project 2025, you may not agree with her. You may not totally agree with her. You may think, she's being hysterical. She's a lunatic, or, whatever it is you might decide. But don't decide those things without investigating yourself, without looking at it. It's just like what I was talking about earlier, bro. What are South Carolina gun rights? What are they? You won't know by going to a Facebook forum, asking questions on social media. Sure, some people may understand, have a good grasp on the subject material, but you really need to go to the source. It's kind of like the Bible, If you say you believe the Bible, or you stand on the Bible, or you subscribe to the principles in the Bible, go read it. Read it for yourself, And that's the only way you're going to learn what the Bible has to say, or the Constitution, or any other document for that matter. So that's my purpose behind this podcast episode, is to dispel apathy and to encourage you to go to the source and read it for yourself. Now, if you find some of this stuff disturbing, it's because it is disturbing. What little I have read is disturbing. And I'm in a pickle come election time in November. And I think ultimately we all are, because we're going to be forced to vote for lesser of two evils. How many times have we had to do that over the last 8, 15, 20 years, right? The Democratic Party and the Republican Party they fund candidates for the presidency, and ultimately we're given two people to vote for. That's our way of government. That's how we elect our officials. And this is the best country in the world. I truly believe that. I know that there are lots of problems, though. It's not a perfect system. Like anything run by man, there is no perfect system. I don't care what country you want to move to. They've got their problems too, right? So, God bless America. And I want to encourage you to read Project 2025 for what it really is, and to make your own decision. And you're not going to be able to. This is not a 5-minute read. There's not a quick 20-minute summary about Project 2025 that's going to give you all the details without digging into it. So please don't be apathetic. Please don't assume anything. Go read it for yourself. So having said all of that, I'm going to say thank you for the privilege of your time. Our podcast is hosted on Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Be sure to share our podcast with your Second Amendment friends, family, and coworkers. You can contact us at Liberty Gun Rights Podcast at proton.me.